Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith, and this is the afternoon edition here on this Thursday of a very tropical, muggy one at that, the 28th of May, 2020. And we've got the remnants here of Tropical Depression Bertha, which is now just a remnant low here. And we've got more precipitation along a frontal boundary axis that extends all the way from the Gulf Coast here, from Texas all the way into the Gulf and into portions of Florida. And then off the coast here, lots of lifting here. So we got some lightning and some thunderstorms here, and just a lot of moisture being fed into the Appalachians. And then of course, we've got this big upper level low here across Arkansas. And that is meaning that we've got a lot of upper level divergence and diffluence, outflow boundaries, showers and thunderstorms with some very moderate to heavy rain in those overnight, and some minor flood watches in effect. And here comes the cold front. This is very slow to move because of what's going on here. So we've got high pressure off the coast, lots of dry and sinking air here out over the Atlantic, lots of upper level divergence here, upper level divergence here. So this whole thing is slowed down and probably won't get into here until tomorrow night and Friday, Saturday morning, when we're going to have some showers and thunderstorms around the area, and they could be pretty potent. This looks very hot to me from the San Joaquin Valley here in California all the way down to Mexico and the Baja Peninsula here. There's a very, very, very hot, dry air mass, and here comes the next storm system, upper level clouds moving in, and moisture advection coming into the interior Northwest territories here. National radar mosaic from all the radars across the country here. It's pretty quiet. There could be some minute interior San Joaquin showers here across California. Everything else looks pretty quiet here on the Northwest. All the action is up through the upper Midwest and down through the southern plains here with our upper level low. We can definitely see that even on radar. And of course, the remnants of all of this tropical air mass coming in from off the Carolinas on a very, very soupy, doopy atmosphere with lots of showers and thunderstorms. The other thing I would like to look at is here's all the lightning strikes coming in now. This is our weather browser, severe storms weather browser here from iWeatherNet down in Texas, iWeatherNet.com. And so we can see we've got some lightning strikes around Virginia Beach and some additional rain here coming in from Pennsylvania here. It's all upglide precipitation right now, so it's going to take a while for some of this, but we had some dense fog advisories in the area this morning. That air is pretty soupy out there. We'll get to all of that in a minute. And here's all the heavy rain reports over the last 24 hours too, and some flood reports as well underneath all of this here, from Milwaukee all the way down to Kansas City, Missouri. And here's our lightning strikes here off the Gulf of Jacksonville and South Carolina into portions of Florida, and another batch of lightning strikes out here in the Gulf and the Panhandle. We'll start upstairs with the 500 millibar jet structure. Here is a closed low here across the Central Plains, basically over Arkansas right now. Look at all the southwest flow at 500 millibars, which is 18,000 feet. So this is where we're getting, our moisture fetch coming in from off the ocean and from off the south. And if we head downstairs to the mid-levels at 700 millibars, we can definitely find a lot of higher relative humidity values here, and all of this here. And all of this is just like a tropical air mass in place. And of course, this is the remnants of Bertha, our second named storm so far this season. And hurricane season starts officially on Monday. But that doesn't mean we haven't seen tropical storms or even hurricanes prior to that. And if we get to the mid-level channel here, there's lots of soupy-doopy air here in the eastern United States. The other things I want to take a look at is our convective outlook for today. We're looking for slight to marginal risk of thunderstorms across the areas in green and yellow. And this is for today. National fire hazards, I'm looking at this and thinking, this looks good that we're not going to have any of this happening today, but it's quite hot over here. And these are our national temperatures here at 10 o'clock this morning, Eastern Coast time. Temperatures basically running in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And it's getting warm. It's still a couple of hours earlier over here, 8 o'clock or so, maybe out on the west coast and in the desert southwest. But already we're having heat build up with the heat indexes here rising well into the 80s in Florida, and already rising into the 80s and upper 70s and 80s here across the desert southwest. Let's see, it is a soupy doopy, so we'll take a look at the dew points right now. Yeah, it's very uncomfortable, muggy air. This is tropical air here when you get in dew points in the 70s at this time of the year, through Virginia, all the way down to the Carolina Piedmont here, the southeast, Florida, and into the Gulf. This is tropical air. And our national hazards early this afternoon, basically we're talking about some flooding here where it's been downpouring across the upper Midwest here from Minneapolis down and through Missouri here. And of course all of this out here is basically heat advisories and excessive heat warnings for the San Joaquin Valley, the western interior coastline of northern and central California, and of course southeastern Nevada here, New Mexico, Arizona, and Southern California. Past 24-hour rainfall here through the coastlines here of Florida, and then again, it's improving a little bit today after the last couple of days of very heavy rain, several inches, 5, 6, 8 inches of rain in parts of Florida here. Along the coast the last couple of days, if we went back to 168 hours, this is how much the Doppler estimated rainfall has been, and we have seen a copious amount of rain across the northern plains, the central plains, down into Texas, the Gulf Coast here, especially the southeast and the Carolinas here. And look at all this rain here. We're talking about 4, 5, 6 inches of rain in spots here over Florida. And if we went into, let's see if we can do this. Do this for my friends down here in Florida and the southeast. So over the last 168 hours, ending this morning, I do believe, or ending Wednesday at 8 a.m. So this is a little old. You can see all this rainfall that fell. So we're talking like 4, 5, 7, 8 inches of rain here down around West Palm Beach and south. Impressive. And this is not too shabby up in here either, nor here. Storm Prediction Center is forecasting the slight to enhanced risk, marginal risk of severe thunderstorms over the northern mid-Atlantic tomorrow afternoon through Saturday morning. If we go down here again, severe thunderstorms possible across portions of northern mid-Atlantic and northeast Friday afternoon through Friday evening. And we're going to have dew points here come up, another short wave moving through, dew points in the upper 60s, possibly lower 70s. And that's going to move from the northern mid-Atlantic north into upstate New York, slightly lower across the middle and upper Ohio Valley. And given the low-level moisture in place, the air mass will destabilize under modest heating ahead of the approaching shortwave troughs and associated cold front. So the lead shortwave trough is expected to induce convection throughout the warm sector over the northeast and mid-Atlantic, while the second shortwave trough and attendant cold front aid in convective development over the mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley. So we could be looking at some multi-cell mode, and in numerous line segments, anticipated vertical shear is strong enough to support storm organization, resulting in the potential for damaging wind gusts. And in some of these line segments, and some isolated hail is also possible, particularly with any of these discrete storms. The tornado threat will depend largely on the direction of the surface winds and strength of the low-level flow. Right now, we're not really forecasting tornadic, but I did show yesterday that we're going to have some rotation with helicity in some of these storms by tomorrow night and early Saturday morning. We'll get into that in a moment. And the Nestis star goes east geocolor. I love using this in the morning and the afternoon as well. Lots of clouds filtering into the area this afternoon, which has kept most of the area cloudy. And we'll probably have some low-level clouds around the shorelines here as well. We'll get into that in a moment. Look at all this convection building up right here over the Carolinas. That's all heading up in our direction ahead of the cold front for tomorrow. And that means showers and thunderstorms in a tropical dewy, soupy-doopy air mass is going to be in place. Back on the ranch in New Jersey in the northern mid-Atlantic here, we're dealing with temperatures today in the 70s. Dew points are high too, so, you know, it's some comfortable muggy day out there. Showers are going to be about the area later this afternoon and tonight, and again tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. Tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night is going to be stormy around here. Temperatures on Friday getting back up to the upper 70s and low and mid 80s. Again, everything is always going to be cooler at this time of the year, with water temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60. So the onshore flow keeping the shorelines and the back bays here cooler. By the time we get into Saturday, again, upper 70s to low and mid 80s. Sunday, looking good, upper 60s to low and mid 70s, so it's cooling off after that cold front and all that heavy rain that's coming through. Temperatures chill down back into the mid 60s and a rain around 70 by Monday, so that looks comfortable for June 1st, my first day back at work after about 10 and a half or 11 weeks. And let's see, Tuesday looks good, upper 60s to low and mid 70s around the region, and back into the low and mid 70s and possibly around 80 in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area next Wednesday. Anomalies. For today, we're running just a couple of degrees either side of normal. We're back up above normal on Friday. We're definitely above normal on Saturday for most of the region, except the coastlines again. All the coastlines are below. And then finally, for Sunday, we're several degrees below normal. We're more than several degrees below normal on Monday, but that's going to be a refreshing air mass in place. We continue slightly below on Tuesday and also slightly below on Wednesday. Here we use the NAM model guidance over convective overview here for precipitation rate and CAPE, convective available potential energy. Most of it is to our west for today. It's just a cloudy, overcast kind of a day. Some breaks of sunshine, but not too much as we just showed you. And just some spotty light rain around the area. Tomorrow looks much more interesting because by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, the CAPE values rise. The shear, bulk shear in barbs, actually in knots, looks convectively stormy to me. Here comes the back edge. Here by tomorrow night and Saturday morning, right around late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night when the bulk shear is at its highest and the CAPE values are at their highest, we could be looking at these discrete cells which are seeing in the red dots here. That's thunderstorms that could contain some wind damage and some hail and definitely some lightning, and then that all moves off the coast and we finally begin to clear out as we head into the morning hours. But it's still going to be quite stormy around Philadelphia as everything moves off the coast, but we're in for a better weekend on the second part of this forecast. But still, look at this. For Saturday afternoon, we still have another cold front coming through, and that cold front is going to initialize some showers and thunderstorms across the Poconos, southern New York State here. So we're going to have to monitor this too, because if the atmosphere begins to dry out just enough and we have some downsloping air, some of these thunderstorms are going to be discrete and potent. So you have to watch out for that too. Water vapor channel looks juicy too, especially when we're getting into the greens and the blues here, 1.5 to 2 inches of liquid precipitable precipitation. That doesn't mean it's going to rain 2 inches. It just means that the atmosphere is juicy and the water vapor is a gas. So, yeah, isn't everything a gas these days? As we get into the area, by the time we get to Friday night, early Saturday morning, that's when the atmosphere is going to be roiling with an extreme amount of moisture in the air. We're talking precipitable water values at about 1.5 to 2 inches of liquid equivalent, of water vapor equivalent. It starts to dry out a little bit as we head into Saturday, but notice the other vestiges here over the Poconos in southwestern New York. So we're going to have to watch out for that, because that could produce some pop-up cumulus clouds and some poppy thunderstorms over these sections. Now again, when we're looking at the NAM model guidance, again, a lot of what you're seeing here in the precipitation totals here means that you could be getting, 1/2 of an inch to an inch of rain in spots. Now, where the heavier showers and thunderstorms are, obviously you're going to have an inch, 2 inches, maybe 3 inches of rain in spots. But those would be, dependent on how these thunderstorms react to the atmosphere, because they will be moving parallel to the flow of the cold front. So there could be some back building in some of these storms as well. Dew points on Friday afternoon and Friday evening running into the 60s and 70s here. What a tropical air mass this is, taking all that entrainment of Bertha and the cold front and upper low from the west and moving it in our direction with those showers and thunderstorms. The air mass really just begins to dry out slightly and marginally as we head into Saturday. Friday night and Saturday, it's not going to be completely dry atmosphere around here over the weekend either in terms of comfortability. Taking a look at the helicity, which is a spin in the atmosphere to provide for some of those rotational thunderstorms to develop across the region. It looks like, yeah, we have some of that. Probably be weakening, though, on Friday afternoon and Friday evening because the heating of the day is gone. We have lost the sun because the sun has set. That doesn't mean that we can't see any heavy downpours, but we're not looking at anything organized right now like we saw previously on earlier model guidance. But still, the chances of having 200 to 300 joules per kilogram of spin in the atmosphere above ground level, the helicity values here, meters per squared feet, okay, means that some of these rotational thunderstorms could still develop, but most of this will be linear and pop-up storms, and that's where the downpours are going to come down because the moisture is just so rich. One other thing I want to talk about this afternoon is the pollen, because that pollen is making me sick, actually. It's quite high. It's at 8.2, and it will be at moderate levels today with some of the rain, but it's still the oaks, the grasses, the mulberry, and the 5-day forecast looks even more problematic for people who suffer from allergies. It's going to be in the moderate to high range on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of next week. Allergy meds are a must. And the final note for this afternoon, we can see a streaming of stratus here still off of the coast with all of our tropical air mass in place and the convective cloud tops beginning to rise across Pennsylvania and the Delmarva region as well. And when you combine that cloud deck here, well, guess what? You've got fog advisories, which are still in effect here. This is from Sandy Hook, New Jersey, all the way down to the coastlines here past Maryland and the Delmarva. Here are forecasting zones, dense fog with visibilities 1 mile or less over portions of the coastal waters until 4 this afternoon. And the current visibility is at 12 noon this afternoon across the region. So this area here has to be monitored, and especially across the Delmarva for this afternoon and back into Pennsylvania too. A little iffy here, 2-3 miles, and some stratus and fog. That's going to do it for the afternoon edition here for GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith. You have a good Thursday afternoon, and we'll be back with you late tonight or tomorrow morning.